everyone, it's Jill Foster here for Penny Black, and I am here with a quick demo showing one of my favorite creative dies from this new Season of Hope collection, and that is the Graceful Stackers die set. I love that this is beautiful and elegant and fun for Christmas cards, but you can actually use this all year round, and there are tons of variations which you can do with this die, which I'm going to share with you today. So to cut these, I am cutting all from 4¼ by 5½ inch cardstock. So that's a standard A2 size card. And if you run them through just singly or single die, you're going to get a panel piece and a negative leftover piece. And you will want to save both of those because you can use the negative leftover piece as a frame and the panel piece as a focal point on your card. So I just wanted to give you a look at what these actually look like once they're cut out. So if you center those on your paper and run it through, you saw the first one, and here is the second one. You've got both pieces that are both beautiful in their own way. And I think with dies, it's just especially helpful to actually see what it looks like once it cuts. So again, if you run just this die through, and again, all of these are from that Graceful Stackers creative die set, then you will have both of these pieces, both beautiful, the negative leftover piece and the panel. And don't worry, I will be showing you some cards made with these here in just a minute. This is the next die in the stacker set, so if you run that through your die cutting machine, you will get this negative leftover piece and the panel. And when I run these through my die cutting machine, I just use a little bit of either washi tape or painter's tape, and I dab it on a sweater or my shirt just to take some of the stickiness away. But that helps me to hold that in the center of the cardstock panel. You can see we're moving down in size here, so if you run that die through your machine, you will get both of these pieces. You can see they're so unique, very elegant. They can give a vintage touch to a card. They can be used with elegant designs or with playful designs, which you will be seeing here in just a minute. And this is the tiniest little guy, which I will run through, and once you do that, you will have these two pieces that are left. And that small piece is actually really great for sentiments if you're looking for a way to add a sentiment to your card. So now I've taken these die cut pieces and I wanted to show you how you can use them. So this card features just one of the main panels. I've inked it and added my stamping and die cutting right on top, and then I've added it to my card base with dimensional adhesive. This is actually one of the negative or leftover pieces left. So it created a frame and kind of a pocket that I could slide in my stamped and colored pieces and my die cut pieces. And then again here, this is one of the panel pieces, and I've added my stamping and my die cutting right on top of that and popped it up onto my card base, and it just adds such a beautiful, elegant touch to the cards. Now, another thing that you can do when you are creating with these is you can run two dies together at the same time. So again, just use a little low-tack tape to hold those in place. And if you run these two together, the first two, you'll get a frame that looks like the first one I've shown you. And then if you run those two together, your frame will look like this. Now if you run these two together, so I'm just moving up, one up, you'll get a frame that looks like this. And you can see just with this one die set how different each of those frames looks. So if I add these two together and I hold them down with low-tack tape, run them through my die cutting machine, I am going to get this frame. And then finally, if you run these two together, you will get a larger frame that looks like this. So here's how I've used some of these frame pieces on my cards. Here I've popped up this frame and added my sentiment and sort of added my little sloth guy there hanging in the center of the frame. And on the next card, I've done a couple of things. First, I've used one of those negative leftover pieces, and behind that, I've added a die cut, our cozy die cut, which is that sort of sweater pattern. But then to embellish the outside of that piece, I've used one of the frame die cuts. So you can see you can mix and match all those different pieces that you're cutting. Now here are a couple more variations. If you run these two dies together at the same time, you'll get a frame that looks like this. And then I'll show you another one here in just a bit. Now, if you are wondering about any of the other supplies used on the cards that I've shown, I will list those for you down in the YouTube description box below. But if I run these two dies together, then you will get, I'm just grabbing it here, a frame that looks like this. And there really are countless different ways you can play around with what look you want, what size you want for your frames. And again, if I pick these two, which have the similar outer edges, you will get a frame that looks like this. So these frames are just a little bit wider. So here I've used that wider frame on my card. It gave me a great place to stamp my sentiment. I could tuck a little cute critter inside and also embellish it with some die cuts up at the top. Finally, I thought I'd show you one more or a couple more here. If you run these two, which are one with the little edges on them and one with the more basic design, you'll get a frame that looks like that. I mean, really, you can just keep on going with these different combinations of dies. Here's another one. If you are running those two down through the die cutting machine, then you will get a frame that looks like this. And finally, here's a card where I have featured that frame. I've inked it up and stamped it with a little bit of text stamping to create just a wonderful frame on this card. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you found some inspiration with our new Graceful Stackers creative die.